Welcome to your best bets. Monday nights of the WGC Match play. I guess it's the last match play that we're ever going to have, at least in the World Golf Championships. We'll preview that. It's a fun, different week. We're going to talk about the Valspar and Taylor Moore winning his first event and a pretty good last 9 holes between 4 different players. Might even do a little bit of the golf ball rollback discussion, some news that came out last week. So we'll get to all that. First, let me introduce the panel tonight. I before we went live, I said it's like my son coming home, and I haven't seen him in months. It's Zach Fitzgerald. He's back on the golf podcast. Welcome back, Zach.
Thank you. It's good to be back. As you can see behind me, it is bright enough outside for me to be awake. So we're going to give this a go, and I'm looking forward to being back on the golf pod, probably first time in like 3 months.
Actually, I think it's the first time since the City Pod.
Oh wow, it's been a long time. That's pretty close to the last time I swung a golf club too. So we're feeling rusty in both.
You've obviously been on for some football stuff, and then that was spectacular. Which, by the way, we diagnosed that Super Bowl pretty much to a T, if I remember correctly. Also here, Johnny Strouser. Johnny, happy Monday night to you.
Happy Monday night. Happy day after the first and second round of the NCAA basketball tournament. Easily. And we could get in this discussion of what's better, 4 days, watching 4 days of the Masters or the NCAA basketball tournament. I think it's the Masters, but the basketball tournament is probably a very, very close second. But, one of the things though, and you being an Indiana native here, we've talked about like teams that we don't like in the Big Ten and everything. And I don't really, Michigan State fan, and there's some teams that I don't like, but how freaking funny is it to see Purdue lay that absolute egg against that little tiny team from Fairleigh Dickinson there? And like, I was thinking about it, I think the first Big Ten team I really, really hated was the Thad Matta Ohio State Buckeyes. Thad just had that punchable face, and you just didn't like him or anything like that. And I think it moved on to Wisconsin with Bo Ryan, and Bo Ryan he was the king of that. But is Matt Painter just that dude now? I mean, don't you think?
I'm going to surprise you. I actually don't have a problem with Painter that much. Like I have a pantheon of Big Ten coaches that I've hated over the years, and you mentioned 2 of them. Bo Ryan was probably king. Right now, it's Brad Underwood for Illinois. And actually, Izzo's on my list too, because that fucker bitches about everything when things aren't going his way. But I actually don't have a problem with Painter. I kind of feel. I mean, listen. I dug into it a little bit on Saturday because I had some time. I really think it was the biggest upset in college basketball history. I really, really do. We're talking about a team that really shouldn't have been in the tournament. They got in because of a technicality, and they were outside the top 300 in a myriad of rankings. Their best win was over some school that was ranked 295 in Ken Pom. I mean, there's just no earthly way. Smallest team in Division I. There's just no way that should ever happen. And I just it was one of the best days of my life. I said maybe like 6th or 7th best day of my life. I at that point I didn't even care about the fate of IU. Of course I wanted them to win, but I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened. I don't know, but that's coming from a Purdue hater, so I don't have a problem with Painter. I hate Purdue as a whole. I don't know. Zach, you have thoughts on what happened?
I just think that it shows that really college basketball is watered down with the one and done and the transfers and everything. Gone are the days of the early 90s Duke or, your good teams that mesh together. Kentucky, who gets, fantastic recruits year after year after year, was a 6th seed, I believe, this year. And, it gets harder and harder probably every year to create chemistry. And I just think that college basketball is nothing compared to what it used to be. I don't watch a whole lot of college basketball. You guys are significantly more knowledgeable, but what I have watched in this, they just don't seem anywhere near as good as what the teams were when I was younger. That also could be just because I was younger and I idolized them. I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't think there's any great teams this year. That's why, the past couple of years, we've had a lot of upsets here and there, but there was no great teams this year. There was just some good teams, and it's just whoever had, you just had to look at it. And traditionally, teams with good guard play end up winning in the tournament. And even if you were a mid-major, if you had a good guard or two, you were, you were a good chance that you were advancing. But pretty crazy to see some of these upsets still. I mean, you still don't expect it. But to see these Cinderella small schools, make runs in the tournament is always, I think, always pretty fun to me. You look at Princeton, you look at Fairleigh Dickinson, teams like that. That's pretty remarkable stuff that you don't hear about them all year, and then they upset these giants.
Yeah, I like UConn where they're sitting. I like their team, and I like Creighton actually. I think they should get to the Elite Eight pretty easily and probably face. I would think Alabama, but they got a tough matchup as well. Yeah, it's one of those wonky tournaments where it feels like anything can happen. A lot of crazy things have already happened, but I agree. These first 4 days, it was just nonstop insanity from the time it started to the time the games finished at 1 a.m. Each of the first 4 days, so it was fantastic. Um, Going forward here, Taylor Moore wins his first PGA Tour event in 40 something starts, winning the Valspar yesterday, defeating the likes of Adam Schenk, Purdue grad. Another tough day for Purdue there. Jordan Spieth and Tommy Fleetwood, and one of those back nines where for a while you weren't sure who was going to win. And I have always enjoyed this tournament. I've enjoyed this golf course. It's challenging. The greens usually get kind of firm, baked out on Sunday. It's just a tough tree lines, non-traditional Florida course, um, and scoring's tough. And I thought it was really really good theater yesterday. And Taylor Moore, the guy that kind of was out in front, posted a score. Sometimes that doesn't. Usually lately that doesn't work out where don't see a lot of guys posting where it actually holds up, but he posts a score early, doesn't have a ton of pressure, and everyone else folds behind him. Zach, did you catch any of it?
Very little. I had birthday parties all weekend. I will tell you though that I was rooting for Adam Schenk. I would have loved to have seen Adam Schenk win his first PGA tournament. I just think that a person from Indiana that at one point I would see the scores in an amateur tournament or the amateur tournaments throughout Indiana, that it would be cool to see somebody like that win. Um, yeah, to me, obviously, it seemed like the winner, and I honestly can't even remember his name right now, but the winner played extremely well, and everybody else kind of faltered along the back nine. I kind of looked at some of the scores um, a little bit before we came on here, and to me, Shank made a bogey on the last hole. It looked like Spieth made a couple bogeys on the back nine, so I didn't get to watch it, but it looked like at one point everybody was kind of sitting there at 10 and could have run away with it. So I was rooting for Shank or potentially Fleetwood. I would like to see Fleetwood win a tournament. So
I want to get to Spieth and Fleetwood, but Johnny, Adam Schenk pretty much leads the tournament from Friday on. Um, has some moments on the front nine where he gets behind, but makes a bomb. I mean, absolute like 75 footer on 12 to get the lead back. And it kind of feels like it's coming down the stretch where it's his tournament. Um, Gets to 18, hits his drive up against a damn tree. And on the 72nd hole, tied for the lead, he has to hit a shot left-handed. I mean, how hard is golf, number one, and how hard is it to win on the PGA Tour when you have to do that in the last hole? And he did it pretty well, actually, to get in a position to make par.
That was just, it was such a good back nine. First of all, I mean, you had really all four of the top four guys had a chance at winning it. At any point in that back nine there, but yeah, you had Adam Schenk, who seemed to be finally that steady, basically 72 holes that he was going to put together there, and you thought that he'd somehow figure out a way to get it to 10 or 11 under, and end up winning that event outright there. But Taylor Moore was just real solid. He hit some fantastic iron shots down the stretch, giving himself some birdie opportunities, and really took advantage of playing, I think, ahead of the pressure there. And I think that's a huge thing and it always has been. But I mean, I think for a guy, with his experience there on the PGA Tour to get you know 40 minutes ahead of the final group there and able to post that number there. But yeah, Adam Shake, tough break there. It looked like he had his was in firm control for a little while. Before that, Jordan Spieth looked like he was in firm control for a while, and then rinsed it on the off his tee shot on the par 5 there and made bogey, and then missed another putt, and it was just kind of this. Everybody felt like it was like a just like a horse race where everybody's just you got the top guys that are just inching forward, get first, fall back, and everything. And I thought the event itself was great because, like I said, it provided that excitement down the stretch between you had a superstar in Jordan Spieth, you had Tommy Fleetwood, who had a lot on the line, I think, as a guy who's never won here on the PGA Tour, and then the other two that were trying to make a name for themselves and get that first tour win. But all in all, it was a great event. And I just, as hard as that golf course was, it was just the advantage of Taylor Moore there to get in at his number there. And, with that tough finish, the guys just couldn't make enough birdies and avoid bogey and at least get into a playoff.
Through Spieth. It's, I, God, he is such a roller coaster. It's almost incomprehensible what he does from week to week, and it's never boring. It actually was boring pretty much most of the round on Sunday, where I'm like, this is Spieth to take. I think he was bogey free through 14, actually, well, 15 holes, but he makes birdie on 14 to tie the lead, and you're kind of like, okay, we're good shape here. I think he pars 15 to par 3, and like you mentioned, just absolutely dumps it in the middle of the lake on 16, and then goes on to make the most unbelievable bogey to stay in it. I think a 15-footer for bogey, stiffs it on 17 to about 6 feet, misses that, and then on 18 hits in the rough and never really gives himself a good chance to tie, and then he ends up missing a 3 or 4 footer for what, $250,000 or $250,000. I mean, it's so Spiethy in so many ways. Zach, I was thinking about Spieth last night. 2015, 16, 17, he would just close these kind of things out routinely, even up to the 2017 Open. I know he won once in 21, the Texas Open, won last year in 22, the Heritage. But all in all, I don't have faith in Spieth in any way whatsoever to close out tournaments on the back nine. We saw him a couple weeks ago at the Arnold Palmer have a really, really good chance and missed every 6-footer coming down the stretch. And then yesterday lets a couple things get away from him. Where do you stand on Spieth? Obviously playing really good golf as a whole, but is he a threat to win tournaments? Most specifically, the one in a couple weeks, the Masters.
Not if he doesn't make putts. I mean, the reason he won all those tournaments back in the day was putting. When he was the best putter at that moment in time, and made, I think, what was the stat? He made the most from like 25 foot or so, which he seemed to always make, one or two of those around, and these big fist pumping birdies that he made, but he just doesn't make those anymore. I just heard you say, didn't watch the tournament, but I just heard you like 4 putts on the back nine that he missed, either within 6 foot for par or birdie, and you're not going to win the Masters doing that. I mean, those greens are not as difficult as Augusta's, so. I mean, he's always a threat at Augusta if he makes putts, but can he get his putter in tune? And really, it only takes one putt falling in, and if he feels comfortable at Augusta, then certainly he could win. I mean, we're going to talk about some guys today in the match play that I wouldn't dream of betting in a stroke play event, but in a match play event, they may just have a chance on a shorter course. So, yeah, maybe not today. Do I have confidence in him? But if he comes out the first round of the Masters and he putts well and he looks in control, then I'm going to start feeling more confident about him the rest of the week.
Johnny, put the period on Spieth here. I did think yesterday he makes the easy look incredibly difficult and the incredibly difficult look easy, and I think he did that a couple times yesterday.
I think that's just him. That's his entire golfing career. Like I've heard that that's how he played when he was at Texas. That's how he played, in junior golf. And he can do so much, but he could just do so much that just makes you want to pull your hair out. It's going to be harder for him to win more consistently because through over the course of 72 holes, I mean that's a lot of mistakes that can happen, and he's going to have to counteract that with with elite play, more birdies, more eagles, more and try to make these doubles and turn these into bogeys and everything, and that's just not necessarily how he rolls now. Like we'll talk about it in a couple weeks, when we do our Masters pod. But yeah, of course, like that, I think he's a contender every single year, no matter how he's playing, because Augusta is that type of golf course that if you see it well, you play it well, you're going to be a contender year after year after year. But it's just so hard to trust him though. Like one of our favorite guys to talk about, Max Homa. Think about him. That guy is as steady as can be coming down the back stretch of a tournament now. He's a guy that I feel we can fully trust to close an event out. Jordan is the opposite. Now Jordan, you got to live with the highs and the lows, but that's just what this guy is going to be. And his stellar years that he had a few years back when when he won all those majors and won the tour championship. He played that same way, but as Zach said, a lot of it was he was making every single putt that he looked at. So, if he doesn't quite have that, it's just going to be a struggle because you're going to get these Spieth golf shots where he's just going to hit it in the middle of the lake, or he's going to pull it in the trees, or he's going to short side himself, and it's just going to be a wild ride, and that's just what you got to accept if you root for him.
Fascinating to watch him in a couple weeks. I jokingly always say he's won like 3 Masters, right? Because it feels like that. For 4 or 5 years in a row, he was in the final 2 groups, and it's a crime that he only has won 1 time. My only other thoughts from Valspar was Zach. I proclaimed on Friday to Johnny that Tommy Fleetwood was going to win this tournament. I bet on Tommy Fleetwood. I just had an epiphany he was going to win this tournament, and I really felt pretty good actually making the turn. He bogeys. The difference is he bogeys the 14th, the par 5 from the middle of the fairway, and everyone else made birdie on it, and he lost by 2. And Tommy Fleetwood is Tony Finau. He is the European Tony Finau, and he's going to have to do something to shake that label at some point. Johnny, any other thoughts on the Valspar? I'll forego Zach since he didn't see much of
it. No. Let's move on to
the good stuff here.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna read a couple of pieces here, and then I'm gonna move on to your guys' thoughts. A golf ball rollback. It's coming. It's happening. Last Tuesday, the USGA and the R&A released a statement. Basically, that would modify the testing conditions for golf balls used in elite competition via a local rule by January 2026, a move that would reduce distances of the game's highest levels. Basically, I'm going to cut down to the bottom here. These changes would reduce the average driving distance of elite players by about 15 yards. Mike Wan, CEO of the USGA, has talked about consistently how distances have increased the last 20 years as far as, compared to 2000 till now, yardage of the average yardage of drives have increased. Thus initiating this change. There's been a million different studies on this kind of thing. This only applies to the USGA and R&A. Other organizations like the PGA Tour, PGA America, Augusta, they'll have the option to propose this implementation for their competitions. There's a lot of layers to unpack here. I guess I'll start with Zach. Zach, I have no idea your stance on this, and I'm very interested to hear your thoughts. Is this good or bad for the game at the very highest level? Is it necessary? Is distance a problem? Give me your thoughts.
I think it is a very, very difficult question to answer personally. Personally, for me, I think they hit the ball too far. And the only reason that I say that is because there's only so much room to make the golf courses longer. If we could make if we just started building what would be considered a professional golf course, allow them to continue to hit it farther, continue building them longer and farther, that would be fine. But I don't think we can do that. Eventually, it's going to get to the point where we're literally playing just hammer the ball and hit 60-degree wedge into the green. And to me, you can say that that is skill. And yeah, it's skill to hit it that far straight, but I would find it more enjoyable to see somebody hitting every club in their bag. So I think from that perspective, it is a good thing. I think that it can bring a little bit more in, but all those long hitters, it's not just going to affect them. So the guy that only hits at 285 now, does he only hit at 265? And then does that completely take him out of being able to play at all? And then at the same time, you got all these kids that are coming up and, we're trying to grow the game. We're trying not to let golf die. And, all these kids coming up, they're being taught to hammer the ball. And that's what they like to do. They like to hammer the ball, hit it really, really far. And, now at the top level, they're being told, well, we're going to restrict what you've been working on for the last, 5 years with the Bryson Revolution and, the fact that Rory hits the ball a long way. Well, all that work that you put in to hit the ball farther, well, when you get to that level, now we're just going to take that away from you. So does that mean that they go from college where they hit it 330 and then it takes them down to 315 and then they have to learn the game and all their clubs and distances again? The minute that they go pro, where's the level? I just think that there's a lot more to it than, oh my, they hit it 15 yards shorter now. That's great. I just think that there's way more to think about. At 15 yards is not enough of a difference for me to make everybody mad and potentially be a detriment to the long-term growth of the game. That is going to distance, whether I like it, which I personally don't, or not. It is. And that's just the facts.
Johnny, the distance boom can be attributed to a lot of things. I mean, the equipment itself, driver club heads are just massive. We see all the forgiveness, TaylorMade commercials where it's kind of proven the point. Scotty Scheffler can mishit it and still hit it 305. Athleticism in guys now, just their physical fitness is at the highest level. Technology, TrackMan, being able to kind of identify where your weaknesses are, increase swing speeds. I just saw something with Spieth where he's gradually increased his swing speed last 5 years. So it's not just the golf ball, but it feels like the golf ball rollback is maybe the easiest solution to what is a perceived issue.
Yeah, the ball itself, that would create, or that would solve a lot of the distance the distance gains that they get. I mean, yes, with everything that you mentioned, and most notably the drivers and the golf shafts, that definitely assists as well. But yeah, the golf ball would be the most simple way to govern it and everything. And I hadn't really gone through all of this in my head. I mean, I've researched it, read some articles, so I'm not sure how this is totally going to come out here. But I think we're at the point where we as in golf, just golf has got to look at, we're at a point where we've got to limit further advancements in golf equipment because of, like what Zach said, making some of these golf courses obsolete. Like, last summer you played the Pete Dye course over at down at French Lick. That one tips out from the very back tees is like 8,200 yards. 25 years ago when I was younger, getting in high school and everything, if you played a golf course that was 7,000 yards, that was big. That was a big boy track. Nowadays, you got to make it 7,500, 7,600 yards just to make it, something like that. So, yeah, I do think the ball goes a little bit too far. Now, I'm not one of those people who says, well, back when I was in grade school or in high school, that wasn't a foul in the NBA, all that other, bullshit that we hear from boomers and whatnot. But there's got to be a limitation somehow. The problem I've got with it is the bifurcation of it, where I can't, or I have access to any type of golf ball. There's a certain set of rules for my amateur play, for playing with, a 4-ball with my buddies, stuff like that. I'm playing a different ball. I think something that just the average golfer loves is that we can have basically the same equipment as the pros, and we can go out there and play a golf course like the pros do, whether it's an easy golf course, whether it's a hard golf course, and we can compare our scores to what they shoot. And if they institute this and they have them have a reduced flight golf ball, while I'm sitting here playing my, the ones I've been playing for the last several years, it feels kind of like it feels dirty. I mean, I'm sure their scores will go down, go down in relation to par a little bit, and mine will, creep closer and closer. But I don't want to say, I don't want them to be handicapped and me to say, well, you know what, we shot kind of a close score. He shot 68, I shot 70, but he was playing a reduced flight ball. And this could be, and I think that's what a fun thing is, that we can use the same type of equipment as the pros. And that's a big deal for Titleist, for Callaway, for Bridgestone, for all those, is they can market one ball that they play, that Tiger Woods plays, that Rory McIlroy plays, that you can go to your local golf store and buy yourself. So I don't like, I hate that part of it. I absolutely despise it. And it makes me sick to my stomach almost to think about how they might change the equipment from top level professional golf to mid-level amateur golf that we play. But I think there needs to be things that they look at with the ball. Jack Nicklaus has said they got to reduce the flight of the ball. Tiger Woods has said it. There's been a lot of guys who've said that, and they understand that.
Fred Ridley.
It takes away, it takes away the shot making and all that other stuff. But I think they're just them jumping in there and then forcing the golf ball companies to come up with two different types of golf balls for amateurs, for pros, and also the game of golf is hard enough as it is. I know guys can go out to the Rocket Mortgage Classic and shoot 27 under par. You know what? One guy shoots 27 under par. It's not like this is just like a thing. I mean, there's ways to make the golf courses harder with rough, with the firmness of the fairways and the greens and all that other stuff. So I don't like it, but I don't like it for those reasons. And I think that they've got to, I think they can do it, but they gotta make a whole bunch of other changes, in my opinion.
I think I'm more okay with it than you guys are. I think largely the PGA Tour has become just driver wedge fest. I guess from a watchability and what do I want to see from my best player standpoint, this is how I'm forming my opinion, and it's definitely a half-baked opinion, and I think you guys made some really good points. But if you watch even the tournament yesterday, mostly any par four that's under 450 yards, it's just a driver wedge for these guys, and that's largely most of the courses on the PGA Tour. And to me, I want to see Scotty Scheffler and Rory and these guys. I want to see them hit 5 and 6 irons, and I feel like Justin Thomas went on this rant the other day in his presser, and I think we all love JT, but I don't know if I agree with all of his opinions. I think this kind of thing is beneficial for the better players. I mean, it's like me out there hitting a 5 iron from 190 yards, 195 yards compared to Johnny Strouser. Johnny Strouser's a better player. He's gonna separate himself from me hitting 5 irons. And I think it's the same case for tour guys. I would think that the better players, that this is actually going to separate them from the mid-level, lower-level guys. Where I think wedge just kind of makes the field a little bit more when it's a wedge fest, it makes it a little more level playing field. But I think a bigger problem is the drivers. I really do. But I think this is easier to change or mess with, then do we mess with driver all the way down to wedge? I mean, that just seems like it's a little bit more of an incomprehensible change. But I so yeah, I'm kind of on the side where I don't mind it. It's 15, 20 yards. And if you even go from like a place to like Torrey Pines where the balls, it's kind of denser air compared to a place like Scottsdale, you probably, TPC, Scottsdale, where the Phoenix Open is, they're probably hitting it 15 yards farther there anyway. Um, so those are just some of my initial thoughts on it. Um, Again, it's very half baked, and there's so many layers to this, guys, and there's so much literature out there that I can't say I'm fully informed on it.
Yeah, and you know what? The Justin Thomas going off on it, that was the weirdest thing. He is like, I'm not saying Tiger reincarnated, but his game resembles that type of thing. And Tiger was his best with, the lower technology and everything, working iron shots, hitting good long irons. And for him to go nuts on that was kind of shocking, because didn't he win a playoff event? I think it was at Medina. And he was talking about, he goes, you could make the golf course 8,000 or 9,000 yards. We'll still be able to hit long irons. If I was Justin Thomas, I'd be wanting to hit 4 and 5 irons into every par four, while these guys were hitting 3 irons and hybrids and even 4 irons there, and they're not as good as long iron players. So I thought that was a little unfounded. And yeah, as for the PGA Tour, I don't mind that. I just, like I said, I'm talking about as a whole from where the level we play versus them. It's kind of weird, but yeah, I think you're right though. I mean, if you're hitting 5 irons instead of wedges into holes, it's gonna, the better iron players, the better golfers are gonna end up being more successful.
I just don't see why you can't design golf courses to have tighter fairways and thicker rough. I mean, we see it in the US Open where when a guy gets into a thick spot, he can be 60 yards off the green. He has to hack it out.
Yep.
You firm up the greens a little bit, you make the rough thicker, and then it starts making guys think about, well, shit, what's better, hitting a 150-yard shot from deep rough or 175-yard shot from the fairway? And then maybe they start hitting hybrids and 3 woods off the tee.
My only argument to that, Zach, and sorry to cut you off, but is the 2019 PGA and the 2020 US Open. I mean, that's what those setups were with Bethpage and Wingfoot, and the field, the guys that could actually win those tournaments were a field of like 8. And it was the Brysons at the time, Brooks and DJ. I mean, it was, everyone was hitting in the rough. So of course the guys that were hitting it that much farther just had that much of an advantage, and Bryson took it apart. So that would be my only argument with rough setup and things like that.
Fair enough.
We still got 3 years though, guys, and there's gonna be a lot of shit that's gonna happen from now until then. The other dynamic is we're talking about the majors, the USGA and R&A.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be where they're playing the PGA Tour with the same golf ball, and then they got to go to the Masters of the U.S. Open and adjust to this reduced flight golf ball. I mean, it could be kind of insane.
Could you imagine if the PGA Tour were to not adopt it? So yeah, they're playing whatever's available, and then they got to switch to, instead of carrying at 300, it's 20% less, so it's like a 240 carry at that. I mean, that's jarring. I lost a couple yards last year off my driver. My carry, it wasn't much. It was just a few yards or whatever. And that mentally, that hurt that spring. So
why not have the Masters make a tournament ball where everybody plays the same ball?
They've talked about that.
Ball.
That was brought up.
I mean, I don't like, if we're going to go to these distances, why don't we make it stock as can be? I mean, obviously that's terrible for the companies that sponsor them, but I mean, if we want a truly perfect field where it's just skill based and it's not, where we have some of the Formula One aspect of things where, one company may make a ball that is, exponentially better than another company.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other company catches up the next year, but for that year, their player wins everything. I mean, you could make the same ball. I don't think that'll ever happen. I mean, we're still talking about money here, and really that's what's going to drive everything. So more than likely this is going to stall, not actually happen, and this will just be a conversation to look back in 3 years and go, man, can you believe that we actually thought that shit was really going to happen?
Could be. It could truly. I mentioned a half baked opinion. This may be a half baked idea with the governing bodies. And man, I was thinking this too when I was thinking about this today. There's just so many different bodies involved in the game of golf. You know, mentioned the USGA and R&A and PGA America, PGA Tour, and it's just the Masters has their own thing. I mean, it's just a lot. It's a lot going on. If aliens came and were like, tell us about golf, we'd be like, well, there's the PGA of America, and they run the PGA Championship, but that's not the PGA Tour. And then there's this other thing, the USGA, and they control the US Open and the USAM, but then there's the R&A. They'd be like, what the fuck's going on? Like, why can't
So
you just have
now what happens when the PGA Tour adopts this ball and Liv doesn't, and Justin Thomas is like, well, shit, I guess I can go use my own ball over on Liv. Ah, well, I mean, I mean, do we have new ripples to this whole? I don't know. It's a very interesting. We're talking about divisiveness in golf. I think this could divide golf into a. I don't know.
throwing the live curveball in? I didn't
Jeez.
account for that one.
I was not hoping we weren't going to talk about that.
You just never know.
I wasn't even going to bring up live tonight, and the fact that
Well, it's the first time I've been on since it's really been a thing, and
that's true.
and I will tell you the one thing that I will say about it is I don't really watch a whole lot of golf. Either way, I've watched both a little bit, but it has watered golf down as a whole when it comes to a product. The PGA Tour is a watered down product compared to what it used to be. Live is a watered down product compared to what the PGA Tour used to be. And although I don't agree with you guys that Live is a terrible thing, I will say that it definitely has taken the. But still can't really tell people what they should do with their lives. I mean, you offer me that amount of money, and I'm probably taking it because you just never know. I mean, you never know. Truthfully, Rory could tear his back tomorrow and never be able to play again. And if your kids are what's important to you, or your financial stability is what's important to you, then yeah, legacy's great, but legacy does not buy
Stuff.
things that inflation caused to cost more.
You know, and Zach, I mean, I think I said this last time. I don't fault guys for leaving, but it doesn't change my opinion of the product, and I think the product is garbage. And I can't think that they want Danny Lee winning. If you notice, none of the top guys are playing well the first two events. I mean, this cannot be part of Liv's vision as Charles Howell.
I just forgot the name of the guy that won on the PGA Tour. I mean, what does that say?
But there's Taylor Moore. There's this whole thing at stake now where he's going to be in position to make all these elevated events. And Zach, I'll argue your point about watered down. You mentioned you haven't seen a ton of golf on the PGA Tour. You missed Riviera, you missed the Arnold Palmer Invitational. The Players Championship, where literally the best guys won these events, and the Players wasn't a great tournament, but Riv was and API was, and I would encourage you to give it a second look with this new structure.
Oh, I'm not watching golf because of PGA Tour or Live. It's just I haven't been watching golf. I watch both, whichever is on. I mean,
but my argument is, you mentioned the PGA Tour is watered down this year. I disagree. Mm-hmm. I think if you have an opportunity to watch, I guess I don't know if is the Match play an elevated event. I'm not sure, but it's got all the top guys there. So maybe not this one because it's so unique, but
and how we don't snicker every time we say elevated event, because I mean, why did those happen? I mean, that's cute. Just so happens that one just so happens to be just a little bit more than what Liv pays out. That's cute too.
That's true. The Players.
I mean, Liv has certainly finally Rory and everybody that were. And again, I don't really have an issue with PGA Tour. The issue that I have was the hypocrisy that the PGA Tour players were showing when it came to them saying, you're ruining the game, you're ruining the game, you're ruining the game. And then 9 months later, they're going, oh, well, probably there's a little bit too much bickering between Liv and the PGA Tour. Well, no shit. You're the one that's doing it, Rory. You haven't shut your mouth in 9 months. Now you're saying things like, well, maybe it's affecting my game. Well, of course it is. You got your head up the PGA Tour's ass instead of worrying about the game, worrying about guys that don't care about you over there, but who's being divisive about the game, and now saying things like, well, everybody's benefited from live golf. Well, no shit. We knew that 9 months ago, but you guys are sitting here hating. It that's the stuff that made me mad, was the hypocrisy.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that all of this new structure was a driving force because of live. There's no doubt. Um, and I think most of the guys have at least admitted that now. Um, by the way, if nobody has read, there's a Fire Pit Collective article by Alan Shipnuck about live over the weekend that's really interesting about some of the contract stuff with the live guys, and there's some stuff happening. I don't know what the outcome is. I'm so interested to see where this thing is by the end of the year, and if there's ever a loophole for some of these guys to come back to the tour if they wanted to, and how the tour handles that. That's another story for another time. But for time's sake, let's move on to the WGC match play. I guess this is the last iteration of the match play. Johnny, um, do you have knowledge, or have you read anything why the match play is coming off the schedule next year? Would you say?
They wanted to move Houston to the spring, and I think mainly NBC that telecasts it doesn't love the coverage on the weekend because it's only a few golfers. I just think it's not, if it doesn't get that absolute star power, which there's a very good chance every year that it won't. I don't think NBC loves having to fill all that, that dead air of them walking from
Yeah.
shot to shot. So I just think it um and then I think Houston's I don't, and I'm not even sure who sponsors Houston, but I think they're wanting to put in a bigger purse, and I'm not sure if it make it an elevated event, but they want to become a bigger player. So I think it's kind of naturally that the PGA Tour just decided to screw over, and if maybe Dell's not going to be a sponsor anymore, but either way, I don't think it's a great idea. But I'm guessing it's a TV thing.
Yeah. It is. It
Are you
is.
talking about the Houston Open?
Talking about, yeah, they're going to move Houston to the
Shell.
week before. Is it still Shell?
I
They're
think
going to move.
I don't know if it still is, but
Yeah, they're going to move Houston to the week before the Masters, so they'll play
okay.
San Antonio and then one other event, then I think Houston, and then go over to Augusta.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a little bummed. If this is indeed going away permanently, because it's although it could be a difficult watch on the weekend, um, because there's few groups to watch, so few matches to watch. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is pretty fun. It's different. Um, top 64, top 64 in the world, non-live players are here. I did that for you, Zach, just to kind of dig the knife in a little further.
Okay.
Um, um, it's 16 groups, um, four players a group, and they're divided in certain pairings where 1 through 16 are the top seeds, and then the rest of the seeds are shuffled with them. So basically, one player comes out of each pod. You move on to the round of 16, which starts Saturday morning, and at that point, it's just a simple knockout style from Saturday to Sunday afternoon. Scotty Scheffler won this tournament last year, like he has won most events the last year or so. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go through a lightning round of the 16 groups. Pick your guy you like, and then we'll do a brief odds overview with maybe who's got the value on the board. So a little different. We'll move this quick along, and you give me your who's going to prevail from each group and why. And here we go. Group 1 is Scotty Scheffler, Davis Riley, Tom Kim, and Alex Noren. Zach.
Scheffler.
Johnny.
Scheffler's going 3-0 in this.
He is going to roll, and I would be concerned about Tom Kim maybe in the fall, but not this version of Tom Kim right now. Group 16, this group will play the winner of that previous group, Sungjae M, Maverick McNeely, Tommy Fleetwood, and JT Poston. A true mediocrity sandwich, it feels like in this one. Johnny, who you got?
Um, I want to pick Fleetwood just because of the form, but JT Poston's real good. I think I kind of trust him winning a couple matches there and coming out of Group 16.
JT Poston. Zach.
Tommy Fleetwood.
Yep, give me Fleetwood as well. Ball striking will prevail. He'll make enough putts. I like Fleetwood as well, but Poston's not a bad play either. Group 8. Victor Hovland, Matt Kuchar, Chris Kirk, and Siwoo Kim. Zach, I think I know where
Chris
you're going.
Kirk.
Oh, I was hoping you'd just. I can't believe Kuchar's in this tournament. I really can't.
Kuchar's a good match play player.
No, he's great in this
and
tournament. I can't believe he qualified for this event.
I mean, Kuchar's home is in the top 10. I've said that for years, and when that's your home, you get invited to tournaments in perpetuity. So, but I'm still
All
he's
right,
going to
Zach's
get
taking perpetuity.
take a Kirk.
Zach's taking Chris Kirk. Johnny, who you got?
Well, first before I say Matt Kuchar being in the tournament there, he's actually lucky. I heard that Patrick Reed and several other players who were in the top 64 on the Live Golf Tour actually applied to play in the tournament. They actually went to the PGA Tour and put in their application that they were going to play because they qualified for it through their World Golf official World Golf rankings merit, and then were then denied. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But with that being said, it's going to be Matt Kuchar. He's going to win this group, and I think if you get some pretty good odds, something around plus 300, I think that's a great bet.
I didn't see that one coming. I'm taking Chris Kirk as well. I feel like he's overall playing the best. He's getting the ball in the hole the best, and I think he's the best putter in this group. Group 9: Colin Morikawa, Victor Perez, Jason Day, and the system play Adam Svensson. Johnny.
I like two guys out of this group here, Colin Morikawa and Jason Day. I actually also like system play Adam Svensson, but not in this event here. If I'm gonna pick, I think Morikawa comes out of it, but if I'm gonna look at Jason Day's odds though, and I'm gonna seriously consider him.
Zach.
Jason Day.
I'm probably just going to continue to lose money on this guy. I've already bet him pre-tournament, actually last week, Colin Morikawa. No reason why other than I just think he's playing great, and this will even out eventually. Group number 2: Jon Rahm, Ricky Fowler, Billy Horschel, Keith Mitchell. This is a pretty good group. 3 guys that are playing really, really good golf. Zach?
Best group of the entire tournament. Hardest group to pick. Jesus. I need the 4 names one more time.
Jon Rahm, Ricky Fowler, Billy Horschel, and Keith Mitchell.
Ricky Fowler.
Johnny.
This is actually a stay away from me, but I think it's going to be Jon Rahm. But like you said, this is a good group here, and I wouldn't want to pay the juice that Jon Rahm's going to be, which he'll probably be something around minus 175, and I just think that would be awful value for him.
I'm gonna go Keith Mitchell. I think he's playing really good golf, and I think this course is a good setup for him. He can whale at that driver, and hopefully it's cool enough out where he'll be wearing some of those crispy cashmere sweaters on the weekend.
Yes.
Group 15: Cameron Young, Davis Thompson, Sepp Straka, Corey Connors. Tough. Johnny.
Cam Young here, like him a lot this week, and hopefully get him at plus odds to win this group, but he'll definitely be my pick out of Group 15.
Zach.
Cam Young.
Sweet bit Cam Young. I had to turn my light on. It was looking very ghostly without the
Thank you.
light. Yeah. Group 7: Will Zalatoris, Andrew Putnam, Ryan Fox, and Harris English. Zach.
Harris English.
I knew you were going to pick Zalatoris. Johnny.
I haven't enough of Zalatoris in match play, so I'd be hesitant to pick him, but Ryan Fox is a good DP World Tour player, really good DP World Tour player. And he's one of those guys that, we always get a couple of the Euros that come over. We've had like Victor Perez and Tommy Fleetwood and, some of those guys that have played over there quite a bit come over and kind of like Ryan Fox come out of that group.
Ryan Fox. I hate this group. I can't. I don't like any one of them. I'll probably go English as well, but I don't feel good about that one at all. I'll be a stay away from me. Group 10, Tony Finau, Christian Bezadenhout, Kurt Kitayama, and Adrian Meronk. Johnny.
Finau's tough in match play because of how far he hits it, but Christian Bezadenhout is playing good golf, and Kitayama won at Arnold Palmer on a real hard golf course. Length is not going to be a thing, I don't think, here. So Bezadenhout, which will probably have some pretty tasty odds, I'd probably put a little bit on him.
I like Finau in this group. Texas course. Yeah, he seems to do really, really well in Texas. So
yeah, I'm with you. I like Tony Finau in this group. Feels like he's due for a bigger win to kind of capitalize on his really nice last 6 months. We've been through half. Here's the second half. Group 4, Patrick Cantlay, Nick Taylor, Brian Harman, and K.H. Lee. That feels like a mismatch. Zach?
Cantlay.
Johnny?
You'd think I'd say Cantlay, but you see my guy Brian Harman's in that group.
He's lingering. Yep.
Brian Harman plus odds.
He on paper he'd be a nightmare match player.
Just
right?
He's had some good success at this event, and I think Cantlay's obviously the way better player, and I think he's a great match play player. So that's kind of not a tough draw for Harman because you're going to have to get in there with a better player. But those two guys, though, that's a good group.
Yeah. Harman hitting every single fairway, putting it to 15 feet and making putts on you. Yeah, but Cantlay to me, he's a great match play player in the President's Cup, Ryder Cup. Haven't yet seen it totally in this event, but maybe this week. I like him this week. Sam Burns headlines Group 13. Adam Hadwin, Seamus Power, Adam Scott. Zach, my boy Sam Burns, kind of floating back up here. He's had a couple of decent weeks. Finished top 10 last week. Who do you like here?
Adam Scott.
Adam Scott. Okay. Johnny.
Ooh, this is a tough one here. You'd think Sam Burns would be a real good match play player. I don't think he's really done much in this event, at least that I can think of. At least nothing notable here. I would take the good plus odds and go Adam Hadwin.
I'm taking Adam Hadwin as well.
Did just make 13 birdies in a round, I think.
Yep.
I think he's the guy that I would trust most to make putts, and he's been playing pretty solid. Group 5, Max Homa, Justin Suh, Hideki, and Kevin Kisner. Match play assassin, Austin Country Club assassin. Johnny, who you got here? This is a good one.
This is a group of death right here.
Oh,
this one so? Is.
Oh, I got another one for that. But.
Is there? I haven't really looked that far ahead. But so far, this is it here. I mean, Kisner just owns this golf course, but he's not that good of a player, or at least hasn't been for the past year since the last match play. I'd have to go Homa.
Yeah. Max is playing. He's just played so well. Even the last time we saw him with the players. Zach.
Kevin Kisner.
Sticking to the brand, Kiz. I'll probably go Max as well, but I wouldn't feel overly strong about it out of this group. This is the group that I think might be sneakily the strongest, just because I wouldn't want to play any one of these guys. Jordan Spieth, Mac Hughes, Shane Lowry, and Taylor Montgomery. Zach.
jeez. Lowry.
Shane Lowry, good match play player, good history at the Ryder Cup 2 years ago. Johnny.
I don't like this is a tough one here. Wow.
Even Taylor Montgomery would the way he putts and how far he hits it, like it's
Yeah.
a good combination.
He fits that so well.
Mm-hmm. And the Mac Hughes Jordan Spieth match is just going to be them making 40-foot bombs on each other,
which I'm here for. I mean, I am totally here for. I'm going to stay away from this group, but I'm going to pick. I'd favor Shane Lowry though.
Sweep it. I'd take Lowry as well. I think that's going to be a really good one to watch. So Group 12, last four here: Rory, Scott Stallings, Keegan Bradley, Denny McCarthy. Johnny.
Denny McCarthy.
Best?
I can't trust Rory to be emotionally into it for 3 days with all the stuff that he's been doing, playing a heavy schedule here. He's, I don't know. I just don't like it. Keegan with having to withdraw from Valspar, not sure, and how somehow Scott Stallings is in it. But Denny McCarthy though, good putter and everything, and I just
best putter on tour.
I think that he could jump out and get Rory and get you. Once you get that point, you just never know.
Zach, is Rory going to come out of this group, or is he too far off the PGA Tour's ass to win?
He's far too far up their ass to even compete with Denny McCarthy this week. So I got Denny McCarthy. I definitely got Denny McCarthy.
I'll take Rory. I'll take Rory here, guys.
You're up his ass, up the PGA Tour's ass too,
and Rory's ass. Yes.
Okay.
Terrell Hatton headlines Group 14. It's Hatton, Ben Griffin, Russell Henley, Lucas Herbert. This feels too easy. Zach.
Terrell Hatton. I don't think that's difficult.
Johnny.
I think this is one of the ones that is the best bet with Terrell Hatton. It just those other three don't, and I don't feel like they need to. They could advance.
Yep, sweep here. I love Hatton. Johnny and I bet Hatton last week at 40-1. I saw today his numbers down. His numbers down to 25 already. And we'll talk about it when we get to the prices. But he was priced the same last week as Aaron Wise, and Aaron Wise he shot $1 million at the Players, which I can't understand the pricing sometimes. Group 6: Xander Schauffele, Cam Davis, Tom Hoge, and Aaron Wise. Johnny.
This could be an interesting group. I just think Xander's too good, and he just is too solid. He'll somehow figure out a way to squeak through. But I mean, I could make the case for Hoge and Cam Davis at this. So I wouldn't just hammer Schauffele at hit whatever odds that he's going to have to come out of Group 6. But I think I still think he's going to come out of it.
Okay, Zach.
Can I hear the four names one more time?
Xander, Cam Davis, Tom Hoge, Aaron Wise.
Hoge. I like Hoge.
I'm with you. I'm taking Tom Hoge. The last time we saw Tom Hoge, he made like 14 birdies on the weekend at the Players.
That's right.
He was so unstoppable, fucking Tom Hoge. Group 11, final group. Matt Fitzpatrick. This group is, no, I don't want to say it's bad, but Matt Fitzpatrick, JJ Spawn, Sahith Theegala, Minwoo Lee. Zach.
Minwoo Lee.
Yep, contended at the Players. Not a bad pick. Johnny.
I can't get over that Tom Hoge unstoppable comment. I'm just gonna have to read.
I mean, listen, like 2-3 years ago, we'd be like, "Is Tom Hoge that good? He's really fucking good."
Okay,
he might. Okay, actually, Tom Hoge might be on the Ryder Cup.
Best from 175 in last year. Pretty sure.
That whole Aaron Wise is going to make the Ryder Cup. That's not panning out for me. So if I could make it take a mulligan, it might be Tom Hoge.
Switch to Hoge.
Might be.
I don't hate that. I mean, he's got to play for better longer stretches, but
Sure.
But anyways, Group
Yeah.
11. I'm eliminating Matt Fitzpatrick. Don't like how he's playing.
Oh, he's playing terrible.
JJ Spawn is whatever. So it's between the other two. Say the Gala. I mean, I've been on him. We've been on him. This podcast has been on him for months and months and months and months. So I think he's going to advance out of that group.
Have you gotten to the full swing episode with him? Zach, you saw it?
Yeah,
So.
I was gonna say that like you guys have been the two that have been on him. I really haven't been, but after watching that, I love like his comment where he just came and he goes, "I'm 35th in the world. I'm overrated," or something like that, or 25th, or yeah, it was funny. But yes, I found him to be very, very funny, and I liked him a lot.
Extremely likable, and his family was awesome. I loved like his dad, and yeah,
I think the person that lost in that was Brooks and his wife. They looked horrid. Like
my favorite. It's my favorite episode.
I like that episode though.
That was a great episode.
But it made them it made her look terrible.
Holy shit! Yeah, that was
terrible.
Well, yeah, Johnny died. We reviewed episodes 1 and 2, but we haven't gotten any further in the series. But my favorite one was the Damon one, Joel Damon. I thought that was extremely. He won a bunch of points, and I thought Sahith did a nice job too. Let's get to the odds real quick, guys. 5 more minutes and let's get out of here. Give me one or two guys you like from the odds. Scotty at 8-1, Rory at 11, John Rahm at 11, Cantlay at 18, Finau at 20, Homa at 20, Xander Schauffele, Victor Hovland at 25, Hatton, who we mentioned, is now at 25, Spieth at 25, Zalatoris 28, Morikawa 28, Cam Young 30, Jason Day 30, Fitzpatrick 35, and then Sanjay and Sam Burns at 40. I already mentioned the two guys I bet. Bet Morikawa at 35. He's down to 28, and Hatton at 40, down to 25. Zach, who you like from the board there?
I mean, Hatton and Young. I would have rather had Hatton at your number, but for the people that we heard, probably him. Young, his number's not too bad either. Aside from that,
and really, he's got an easy group too. I mean, we kind of determined.
Well, when we say easy group, that tends to mean that they don't win, and then
they'll go 0-3.
Yeah, so I mean, that's always just kind of quicksand right there to say. So thank you for that. But we'll see.
We're really butting heads in this one.
Well, we haven't done this in a while.
We had the distance debate, the live and Rory, and now, yeah, this.
We're not done with the live conversation. That's going to be at the end of this, but yeah, that's what I would take of the people that you said so far.
Okay, Johnny.
I don't like betting winners on this because you've got to play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or 2 on Saturday and then 2 on Sunday. So it's just a lot of golf, and a bad 6-hole stretch can take you right out of it. But we've talked about with Tyrrell Hatton obviously as a good candidate there. I think Cam Young's going to win this. He's my pick. Just switch caddies. Took Webb Simpson's old caddy Paul Tesori, who is I think one of the more phenomenal caddies that are out there. Him and Webb were with each other for 12 years, so Webb just kind of decided that he needed to move on because he, a golf game is not doing it, and actually suggested to Cam Young to go ahead and put Tesori on the bag there. And I think that guy is just, we look at a guy. What some guys have done when they've switched caddies, and I think that's a big deal. This is only the first week, but you just never know. You get that newfound energy with a different working partner there. I think he's ready, and he's ready to win an event, and I think I like his game for this golf course, and he's gonna be my guy to win this week.
We've seen DJ win here in the past at Austin Country Club. We've compared Cam Young's game to DJ like. So and betting the winner, you kind of got to like them to get out of their group first. We mentioned Cam Young has a cleaner path to get out, maybe than some of these other guys above him. Um, I like it. I feel like I'm gonna have to tail that pick though, because I don't want to miss out on Cam Young. I don't really have anyone else to speak of. I think if you guys like Shane Lowry, you can get him at 60. Um, I like Keith Mitchell and Ricky Fowler at 60, but they got to get out of John Rahm's group. That's going to be the difficult part. But I think those guys have good numbers. Ricky's playing great golf. That's pretty much all I got. If you guys have anyone else down the board that you see 80 to 1, 100 to 1, anything like that.
I mean, I said
JT
I
Post?
said JT Post. I said Danny McCarthy is going to come out of that group. I mean, he's at 100 to 1. I mean, just I think the thing is you want to just sprinkle bets on these, and you don't want to. We've said all year long, don't take Scheffler, don't take Rahm, and they seem to be winning and just poo-pooing our ideas here. But this one I think is especially hard because your results on how you advance is directly related to another golfer who could be hot that day. Somebody goes out and beats John Rahm on Thursday, the second day after he halves the first match, then he's only got a half a point and he's not going to end up making it. So you could sprinkle a little bit. Like when I say Cam Young's going to win, I'm not going to put nearly as much as I would on a regular PGA Tour event there. I want to focus more on the group stages, and I'll probably live bet it once they have the field, the field of 16 there. Then I think you're going to get far less odds, but I think you can kind of see the path to who these guys have to go through. But there's just so much unknown, and like I said, a 6-hole stretch will eliminate you. I mean, you're going home if you're not, if you have a slip up against a guy who's playing pretty well.
Well said. Guys, that's all I got for this. Any parting thoughts, Zach?
Yes, I do. And this is in all seriousness. This is not an LIV versus PGA Tour thing. I really do want to say congratulations to Danny Lee because if you remember, no, this is honest seriousness. If you remember, Danny Lee was one of the up and coming rising stars years ago, and then he tried to win his major just kind of like KJ Choi did, and he had to go and he had to do his 2 years of service, which really took his game away. I remember when that was going on. This is all seriousness. I remember when that was going on. You're laughing at me, but I remember when that was going on. I felt really, really bad for him because he was kind of like on the upswing and he was playing really, really well. And then he had to go do his mandatory 2 years of Korean military service, and it really took his game away as it would to any of us. So I do think it's kind of cool that he won a tournament and is, I mean, regardless of where he plays or how you feel about that, it's it's nice to see somebody succeed that really of no reason or fault for their own, they kind of lost their game a little bit. I was being serious there. I mean, I get the whole LIV and but what I did when I saw that he won, he's been close a couple of times on the PGA Tour since he came back, and I do always kind of root for him just for that reason alone.
Fair enough. Congrats, Danny Lee. I heard he got really emotional in the post-round interview, so it obviously meant a lot to him.
Mm-hmm.
To beat the likes of Peter Uihlein and Brendan Steele, those top players that live. So congratulations, Danny Lee. Good one. Okay, guys. WGC match play, ball rollback. We did it all tonight. Zach, Johnny, thanks for joining, getting through it. Best bets coming, I guess, as early as
tomorrow.
Tuesday. Yeah. Best bets for the WGC match play. Gosh, it's been a rough stretch of picks. It was so rough we didn't even put them up last week. So we'll get them up this week, see if we can do better. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well. Coming next week, Brian Straley will be we'll be on to talk about the upcoming Fort Wayne Golf Association schedule and some of the ins and outs of our local tour and things of that nature. So we'll be excited to talk to Brian. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.